Okay, so time for an update to the hops lecture. Lots happened since 2007 when the DVD was recorded, and so I wanted to give a sort of brief synopsis, I think, of what's happened since and where we are now. So in 2007, when we recorded the original DVD, Matt Brynildson was talking about what we called I suppose, the impending hop crisis. It sounded dramatic, but in reality, what it was a adjustment that was a natural progression as the hop growers and the brewers started to figure a few things out. Brewers were requiring fewer and fewer hops. I'm talking about the major brands here, and the global demand for alpha acids was dropping due to decreased demand, first of all, for beer. And secondly, because of a switch over to craft brewing, meaning we're looking more at the sort of aroma hops as well. Growers, in the meantime, who'd staked out their business plan based on producing large quantities of alpha acids, were starting to see a glut on the market and were starting to reduce their production, pull out fields, switch over to growing something else. Many of the hop farming families were finding that the second and third generation of children weren't interested in running a hop farm. So a lot of them got out of the business, and around about 2007, the graph of demand versus the graph of supply crossed over, and there was a momentary shortage. Obviously everyone panicked. There was a quick readjustment, hops went back into the ground again, and then the next year there was a huge yield. We got lucky, and we avoided a complete crash. At the time, brewers were avoiding potential shortages in the future by signing very long-term contracts with brokers, often for exorbitant amounts of money. So fast forward to the 2010, 2011, 2012, and contracts that brewers signed in 2007 were forcing brewers to pay above the free market value for inferior quality, age-old hops that they'd contracted to purchase, having panic bought at a level higher than their real demand, and a weird situation developed where brewers were paying $15 a pound for something that wasn't as good as a spot market price of $5 or $6 a pound. And brewers, needless to say, were getting quite angry with their brokers, and brokers who'd already paid the farmer the crop yield guaranteed price that they agreed 5 years ago, and obviously weren't going to be prepared to lose out that money either. Big whole complicated situation, not made any easier or better by a large amount of distrust and gossip and rumor and innuendo, which leads us to a slightly different situation we're at now. Most of those 5-year contracts have expired by 2012, and getting into 2012, 2013, we're finding brewers signing new ones at more realistic levels, still higher in terms of price than they were back in 2007, which offers hopefully the farmers and the growers an opportunity to make a go of it in a financial sense. But still, we're seeing a lot of price variation and cost variation in hops and hop supply. The other thing that we're starting to see is certain varieties, obviously, certain brands, beer brands, have gained tremendous amount of notoriety and fame because of their willingness to use new aroma varieties that have come along. I call them aroma varieties because that's how they're using them, but in reality they're dual purpose. They are astonishingly high bitter values as well as aggressive aroma. Historically these would have just been used as bittering hops, but some of the characteristics are way too aggressive for the big guys to use, so they would have been rejected. Craft brewers are interested in these in huge amounts, and as a result you're starting to see a clamoring for new varieties, as well as a growth in some of the demand for some of the proprietary varieties as well. So hops like Citra and Sorachi Ace and Simcoe, and now new varieties like Bravo and Calypso and Eldorado are seeing huge demand. There's been some coming over from New Zealand that are very interesting and aggressively aromatic and very interesting flavors. And brewers, through their extensive and laudable need to experiment and to try new things, are sucking up vast quantities of these new varieties of hops, which fuels the demand for them even more. And a lot of the new brewers coming along are demanding that their business model, in fact, depends on making products that are so unique and interesting they can charge a much higher price for them, and are looking to find these new hops and finding that they're in short supply. So there'll be a period of adjustment again. It takes 10 years to introduce a new variety. It's helped by the fact that some varieties that were rejected in the past for being too aggressive and aromatic are now being released and sold, and that's a good thing because I mean, obviously there's a tremendous demand for the new hops, and that's alleviating some of the time restraints. But still, there's going to be a lag behind supply and demand. So new brewers starting out now are going to find that some of the hops that they've test marketed and tested their beers with aren't going to be available. I've got a list here of potential hops, spot market hops, and for 2013 contracts, and several of them are still unavailable, even going into 2013. And this is obviously looking at this year's current crop, already sold out. So Pacifica, Nelson Sauvin, Galaxy, Mosaic, Citra, Eldorado, all sold out. And so as brewers, we're going to still face challenges to make the interesting and exciting beers that we want. The drawbacks and the problems that we're going to encounter as we plan for our future breweries and our expansion of our existing breweries there's going to be issues related to the hop supply. Hopefully that'll take care of itself as the farmers respond by planting more of the varieties and things that we want to buy. But contracting ahead of time is going to become much more important, and a much more important part of our planning when it comes to planning our new breweries.